Hi guys, welcome to a really exciting video we have for you today. We're going to be talking about natural pivots, everyone's favorite step, and the spin turn or the overturned spin turn. The reason why we've chosen to talk about this today is because one, they are both beautiful steps, but often a cause for confusion because they are so similar.
Also quite difficult. There are many elements that you have to get correct to be able to move efficiently and in harmony with your partner. So we're going to be touching on a few of those points today.
We're going to start with the spin turn, okay? So
Overturned spin turn.
An overturned spin turn, yes. So,
we simplify it by saying spin turn.
So when we dance an overturned spin turn, we have progression down the floor usually. So this is usually done down line of dance. Yeah, so if I'm going to start facing the camera, I'm going to step back on my first step, or diagonally back, I should say, and I'm going to spin on my left foot. I'm then going to rise using a heel toe action onto my right foot. I'm going to turn out of my right foot and step back down the floor using my toe heel. So if I just do that again for you, 1, 2, 3. That's my overturned spin turn.
And similarly, the lady starts going forwards. I have a heel drive step on my right foot with a pivoting action on step 1. I have a diagonally back rise onto my toe on step 2, brushing my toes, and then stepping forward toe heel on that last step.
Do you mind just showing us one more time but on this orientation as well?
Absolutely. So I have our drive step and pivot. I have a diagonal toe, brush, and step forward and lower.
When we dance the overturned spin turn, we essentially have 2 spin actions. So the man will be spinning on the first step. So on the left foot, when the man is on the inside of the turn, we have what we call a spin action, which is the action of spinning on your foot. And there is what you can call a sense of axial turn, which is kind of turning on the spot for a split moment in time.
On the axis.
On the axis, while on the inside of the turn. The lady who is on the outside of the turn cannot spin on the right foot. So when we are turning, we cannot, 1, move in the same direction at the same time, and 2, we cannot turn both people on the spot, if that makes sense, statically.
Sure.
So we can't move at the same speed either.
Yeah, exactly.
So what will happen is we will lose our body position instantly. So if we start in closed position, so the lady is on my right side, we're on right side to right side. If I step onto my left foot diagonally, and now we both turn, we both spin, we will immediately move to the wrong side. So what you'll find if you do a spin turn, and you start fine, and then you realize, oh my God, my partner's on the wrong side, and you look all funny. It's probably because you've both turned at the same time.
Yeah.
So this is a principle for right turning figures, especially things like pivots and spin turns. When you travel through your right foot, you want to travel quite quick through and out of your right foot and turning out of your foot more strongly.
Correct.
Whereas when you are going backwards, when you're on the inside of the turn, the feeling is that you're turning more strongly into and on your foot.
Yeah, let's not get mistaken here in thinking that the lady doesn't have any turn on her right foot, any turn on her right foot, because she definitely does. It's really just a matter of ensuring that once that pivoting action of the right foot occurs, that you move off it.
So there's a stronger movement compared to the man's stronger turn, and then we take turns. So on step 2 of the spin turn, I will do exactly what Talissa just did on step 1, and she will do what I just did.
And I have to say, that is an extremely important point. I see a lot of my students not generating any turn in the foot on the right foot, and that also causes a lot of problems. So you can see, if I decide that I'm not going to turn my right foot, and then my partner has his axial turn on his left foot, again, I can't get around. You know, why are you not taking me around? There's many details here, and that turn on that first step is a big and very important key to being able to nail this figure.
Yes, so just to re-emphasize the point, as to avoid confusion when we talk about the pivots in a second, there are 2 spins when we dance a spin turn. Man spins in step 1, lady spins on step 2. What do we do on step 3? Well, we go linearly. So after we've done our second spin, from here there's now no more spinning to happen. We have a more linear step backwards down the floor for the man.
Forwards for the lady.
Forwards for the lady. So if we just show that maybe a couple of times in hold and overturn spin turn.
Absolutely.
1, 2, 3. Good, and again. 1, 2, 3. So we're trying to blend that turn, make it as smooth as possible. Another really important point when talking about the overturn spin turn is actually sway as well, because there is a difference in sway when we dance a spin turn versus pivot. So in a spin turn, usually we will have a sway to the man's left on step 1, change the sway to the man's right on step 2, and then keep that same sway on step 3. Same thing for the lady.
Yeah,
so the lady
except
will
the opposite direction.
Except the opposite. So when the man sways to his left, the lady is obviously swaying to her right to be the same sway. Final
Do you want to demonstrate that just perhaps in our broken hold, just to demonstrate it maybe in an exaggerated way.
So we're starting with the sway to the right as a preparation, changing to the man's left on step 1, back to the right on step 2, and keeping it to the right on step 3. Maybe just one more from another angle. Sway left, sway right, keep the sway. So the other thing to keep in mind here is referring to something that Tulissa mentioned earlier about the brushing action for the lady. So the man doesn't have a brush when we dance spin turn, but the lady does. Why and how? Basically, the brush action is what we call a recentering technique, which gives the lady a stronger sense of time and control when she's on the inside of the turn. So in order to lead this or allow this to happen, we have to produce suitable enough rise when we take our second step. So I'm rising onto my right foot, and as I'm passing, my sway and body rise allows Tulissa to brush and stay on her left foot for longer, which will actually make it easier for me to get past Tulissa. If I don't rise enough or I don't have enough sway or body projection, the lady will probably not get an opportunity to brush her feet.
Correct.
And she'll probably move off her left foot too quickly.
Yes.
And then it's going to be very difficult for me to get past her to take my third step.
Yeah, and also my shape and my extension won't have that organic feel to it. And most ladies know that they have to have a beautiful extension on that figure, so they're going to end up manufacturing something, and the step will be worse off.
Yeah, so there's normally two kind of problems that a lady might experience in the spin turn. One is throwing her head weight back. Right, so the kind
especially if I'm not getting that body from the man, yeah.
And then you'll find that balance is maybe not so good. Or the other issue that you can identify is whether you're brushing accurately or not. If you're doing a perfect closing of your toes, yeah.
I'd say there's a third one as well. I mean, look, there are many problems that can come up in this figure, but a big one can also be staying too accurately with my man, like really making sure that I'm stuck and not having that sense of inside outside of turn. Yeah. So I'll demonstrate that one.
Okay.
So I'm a great lady staying with my partner. I'm staying with my partner.
Oh, that's a good point actually.
We are stuck.
Yeah, I don't normally feel that from Tulissa, so that doesn't spring to mind. But yes, that doesn't feel how it normally does when you do it.
Correct.
Okay, moving on to pivots now. So a couple of the key points for pivots is that there are different versions of pivots or different combinations. So,
and we're talking waltz, aren't we?
We're talking waltz today, yeah. When we dance pivots, we're going to just quickly talk about basic timing, which is just 1, 2, 3 timing for pivots. Now there's two options when we dance that. First option is to dance them more flat. 1, 2, 3. And then we have the second option, which is with rise. Same timing, 1, 2, 3, but with rise. 1, 2, 3. Now, looking at that straight off the bat, you might go, that looks very similar to a spin turn. Yes, it is very similar to a spin turn. We have a third pivot though. So essentially the first two steps are almost identical, except for the fact that the lady doesn't brush.
Correct. It feels quite different for me actually.
Where people go wrong is that they practice an overturn spin turn maybe for years before they do pivots. So they've developed this habit of spin, spin, or spin for the man, spin for the lady, and then no turn on step 3. Whereas when we dance pivots, we have to do turn on every single pivot. Yeah, so one pivot is one step, which should have about half a turn. So man will go on pivots, half a turn on 1, half a turn on 2, half a turn on 3. So you can see that I'm finishing forwards now, whereas in a spin turn I'd be finishing backwards now. So there's an extra spin, yes?
Not just the man, the lady also has the exact same half a turn on each figure.
Yeah, so that's, if you do the math, 1.5 turns, correct? So let's just show you quickly flat version of pivots, maybe a couple of directions, and then rise, both with basic timing. So the flat version of pivots would be 1, 2, 3. And we'll try that again. And 1, 2, 3. I would normally do option 2, wouldn't I?
Correct.
I would normally use some rise. The reason for that being that the rise will give us a little bit sense of breath, elongation of second beat, so it's more musical. Just keeping in mind some of the differences, little to no sway as compared to the overturn spin turn. So when we did the spin turn, sway to the left, change the sway to the right, keep the sway. Pivots much more flat in terms of sway.
Why is that?
Well, the sway, that's a good question. The sway will act as a balancing agent. So the sway can speed us up or help us to move, and then it can also help us to balance and to slow down. Now pivots, we don't want to slow down, we want to shift. We want to move as much as possible. So when we sway to the inside of the turn, that's going to make us slower, heavier.
Yeah, and so you want to also think about what is the impact that you're trying to portray in these two different figures. I'd say, we want movement for both figures, but perhaps for the overturn spin turn, we want that moment where we let our lady extend and have that beautiful sense of breath and extension. For our pivots, we really want a sense of speed and momentum and travel.
Yes, that's where it's important that you identify what you want to look like or what you want to feel, and then you choose the right step accordingly.
Correct.
That will just show you quickly basic timing pivots with rise, okay? 1, 2, 3. Good, and again. Down, up, down. Now, where the fun begins. We don't have to do basic timing forever. We can start to syncopate our pivots. So when we syncopate our pivots, this is when it gets a little bit more exciting, it gets more fast, a greater sense of turn where it looks more rotary. So normally what we would do is if we were to dance, let's say a natural turn, and we wanted to do pivots, normally we would do 1 bar of basic timing pivots, 1, 2, 3, and then you can choose to syncopate the next bar of pivots, which would be 1 and 2, 3 timing. So just to show you what that looks like, we're going to start with some basic timing pivots. 1, 2, 3, now syncopated. 1 and 2, 3. Now we could repeat this. 1 and 2, 3. 1 and 2, 3. And we could do that on and on and on. Obviously, you're going to start to get a little bit dizzy and you might want to do another figure after your pivots. So usually we would recommend dancing 1 bar of basic timing pivots, followed by either 1 bar of syncopated pivots and then a spin turn, or 1 bar of basic timing pivots followed by a syncopated overturn spin turn.
Whatever you decide to do, make sure it's intentional, make sure it's very clear. Have an idea of what you want to do before you get to that figure. Make sure you've mapped it out in your head, especially when you're social dancing or using this these figures for floor craft, you want to be very clear about the signal that you're giving to your lady and the timing that you're doing and which exact figure you're trying to portray.
They are very difficult steps. There are a lot of similarities between them, also some very key differences. So make sure you understand when you are spinning, when you're pivoting, when you're going straighter, what your timing is, and whether you're rising and lowering as well. That should kind of troubleshoot your pivots and your spin turn for the most part.
Good luck. Let us know how you go, and we hope that this improves both your overturn, spin turn and your pivot.